Hello, this video is being shot on June 15th, and I thought it was time for another good garden tour. Here we're shooting a look at my tomato plants, and you'll see that they've grown very tall. At this point, you can see the top tomato plant there is probably 6'5" or so. I'm using a branch off of a tree as a stake here, and this one on a garden stake actually is already above the stake. So the question I have for you, any of you that do a single stem growing method where you're really just staking a tomato and training the tomato up that stake, what do you do when you get to the top of the pole? Obviously, I could just top them and that would be a great option. I might also quit being as careful, keeping it pruned down to a single stem and keeping those suckers off, but I do enjoy the strong airflow between the plants. You know, another thing I'm kind of tempted to do, but I know it ultimately would be a mistake, would be to put a trellis at the top and then actually grow them horizontally on the top. But that would obviously shade out the lower parts of the plants and any plants that weren't up on that trellis yet. So I probably won't do it, but it would be kind of fun to do. Another option obviously would be to add another stake on top of the stake, but they're already getting pretty tall, so I'm not sure that would be a great option either. So just comment below, let me know what you do if you'd use this method. I'll most likely just end up topping them or letting them fall over, probably top them. I do want to show you, I don't have any ripe tomatoes yet, but I have a lot of green tomatoes that are growing on the plant. So let's see here. All these green tomatoes forming right along here. Now look at this cluster on the Riesentraub. If all of these flowers were to actually turn into tomatoes, that'd be one heck of a lot of tomatoes. Now you do see there are already some tomatoes here. And let me lift it up here. Try not to break it off when I'm lifting it up. I guess I did break a tomato here. But look at that huge cluster. Here's some more. So as I said before, this is mid-June, and I planted them in the ground in mid-April. So that's 2 months that they've been growing since transplant. I think probably mid-February or early February even, I started from seed. So that gives you a little bit of perspective on how long it's taken them to get to this side. But no ripe tomatoes yet. We'll give you an update when we harvest them. My pepper plants are not amazing, but doing well enough. Here are some starts of moon and star watermelons. You can see there are some yellow splotches here on the leaves, part of that unique characteristic of the moon and star watermelon. And of course the fruit itself also has those splotches. Over here are starts of sugar baby watermelons. And the oregano is flowering. Obviously you can cut these and they'll grow right back, but right now I'm going to let it go to seed. Here's my black vernissage tomato from the seed giveaway that I planted out in the garden bed. And we have parsnips that are growing to seed. Once again, this is a huge plant. And some of them obviously have already started seeding, so soon I'll have to pull off the seed heads to make sure they don't just spread here in the garden. Here are a couple more pepper plants, including my black pearl pepper, which has that nice unique color right there under the parsnip, that kind of purple color. I think it's a very pretty pepper plant. And here is my garlic. You can see I left a few of those scapes up top. The leaves are just starting to yellow a little bit. They'll probably be ready to pull in a few weeks, beginning of July, probably 1 weekend of July. The scapes will probably flower out a little bit before then. Here's my Jimmy Nardello pepper. You can see that here it's a little bit looking like it needs some water. I need to add a node on the drip line. You can see my collards, which I am letting go to seed, which have largely seeded out. I'm just waiting for them to dry a little bit, and then I'll harvest the seeds, and I'll have a bunch of collard seed. This was the old-timey blue collard. Here is an ahi lemon pepper plant, I believe. I believe this is my Petite Marseille pepper plant, which I haven't grown before, so we'll be seeing it for the first time this year. I think this is my Tabasco pepper. It might be the Bird's Eye Thai, but I think it's the Tabasco. And here's the Roma tomato plant from my brother. You'll see a couple tomatoes forming down there, but still not red here either. And I have to keep this fairly well watered. I haven't mulched the top of the bucket yet. I probably should do that. Here's a white devil's tail pepper. And right down here, it's kind of hard to see, but you'll see that I have my rattlesnake watermelon. And my drip line probably needs to be a little bit closer to it. It's too far over, so it's not getting the water right on the roots. So I'll probably fix that. This is my purple jalapeno plant. Again, another very interesting color scheme. Great purple peppers and flowers, purple flowers that are just pretty. So I'm excited for those to continue growing. Here you'll see those golden crispy melons that we started actually in the winter sowing in the gallon jugs. And those are the ones on the left that had that. The ones on the right is one that I actually put directly into a mound, placed it in there by seed. So there's just the comparison how they're doing. They're kind of catching up to each other. You'll see some kale right above there. This was a dwarf curled Scotch kale. You might have seen in a previous video that the rabbits had really eaten away at it, but it seems to be coming back strong now. Over here is a summer squash that I planted. I believe this is called a desi squash. This is the first year I'm growing it. I believe it's from India. It's a rather newly brought over variety, I guess. It does have its first flowers coming on, so I'm excited to see. It has a lot of room to grow, and obviously it's still a little bit on the small side, but we'll keep watching it. Here are some cucumber plants. And you'll see that a lot of my beans are actually up. Even ones that I had planted prior to the pre-sprouting beans episode are now coming up. So it's just probably a matter of waiting for the soil temperature to get high enough. And they now have germinated. So, you know, it does look like there might be some sort of a bug that's eating on them a little bit, but I'm pretty optimistic about them. I do hope I'd planted some of my last Sunset Runner Bean beans in here too, so hopefully some of those come up so I can save some seeds from that at least. And I think it'll be a very pretty flower for you to see on this channel if it does come up, but if it doesn't, so be it.
So I have a couple potatoes that are actually peeking out from beneath the surface. So I'm going to go ahead and harvest those today and then keep this potato plant in the ground, and we'll ultimately dig up and see what we have left. So I don't know how much is still below the surface, but here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little potatoes that I did pull out at this point. And so we'll just let it keep growing, and hopefully I have a lot more below the surface, but this is still pretty cool. I did want to point out too, if I can find it, right here is actually a fruit that has formed from a flower, and it looks like some animal, probably a rabbit, has actually chewed some of the leaves off. But hopefully we can actually get some seeds out of that and try growing a potato from seeds. I'm not sure how well it'll work, but it could be a fun little experiment if it does work. So just wanted to show you that.